Hey team, hope you're all well, wherever this finds you and whenever you're watching this. Now, I just wanted to break pace this week and teach you a trick, teach you a knife trick. I wouldn't call it a knife fighting trick because fundamentally I don't believe in that type of combative space we should ever take our hands off the weapon. I don't believe in changing grips. I don't think it's reliable enough under the fight or flight response that we're going to be experiencing to sort of do fancy things like that. Cool? Even with decades of practice. And all that aside, that kind of combat's very, very fast, very, very vicious, aggressive, overwhelming. So you're probably not going to have much of an idea about what your hands are doing in that little space. That all aside, I talk a lot in the courses I teach, particularly in the weapon space, about weapon meld. That is about becoming so tactilely connected with your tool that you are able to use it without any conscious thought. So we're getting that unconscious mastery, where you no longer have to think about what you're actually doing. Okay, that's when we know we've mastered a particular skill. Now this is not a skill or trick that's taught anywhere else that I'm aware of, although I'm sure that I'm not the first person to invent it. I actually invented this for myself maybe 30 odd years ago, maybe more. Ages rapidly going that way. But I remember sitting in the middle of the Northern Territory, bored out of my brains, with a M16 bayonet on an army exercise, you know, one of these long ones we used to do right back in that day. And as a consequence, I just found myself, and I had been studying Sai or Jutte, what you would see in the karate realm, the Okinawan toolbox realm back then, for those of you who are aware of what I'm talking about, which is a Japanese metal rod type weapon. It's not really an edge weapon, it's a pokey type of weapon. That all aside, one of the techniques in Sai is to be able to flick from it being outwards to back in. Okay, now same with the Jutte. They have a hook on one side, and they're quite a long weapon, about the length of your forearm. So they use the weight to flick it forward, and they just flick it forward, and the hook allows you to control the weapon. When we pick up a normal knife, as in my bayonet back there in the middle of nowhere, it didn't have a hook. So I mucked around, probably dropped the knife a million times, and this is what I came up with. See this? And I'm trying to do it slow. We're doing this slow rotation. Bang. So this is from an ice pick grip. Pinch it into this type of formation. Bang. With your fingers. So it's this finger, forefinger and thumb. Middle finger, forefinger, thumb. One. And we turn it back from outside towards your center. Turned. And then as you'll end up with it in these two fingers as the grip changes. Looks cumbersome, slow. But what we're actually using is the momentum or the weight of the tool. Now this is a very small, light knife, so this is actually quite hard to do it with. But you'll see this process. So if, I guess technically and totally combatively, theoretically, you might be going from this type of normal saber grip to a reverse ice pick grip to do something, and then back to a saber grip. Okay, saber grip, ice pick, saber grip. I was creative, what can I say? When you're learning it, so if you want to learn this trick, this is the way to do it. Grab yourself a butter knife or a kitchen knife, blunt one, and practice that movement. So that movement, that movement, that movement. 1, 2, 3. Now if I use a slightly heavier knife, it slows it down for you and you can see it. And you'll probably be able to slow this video down and see what's actually going on. So it's coming into my center, across this line and out to the outside of my center. Alright, so, and I haven't taught this trick to anyone really for probably about 30 years. Because No, it's just something I just made up, so I didn't see any real point. But it's an interesting kind of trick to do, right? So rather than doing that to change it, in traditional Tanto Jutsu, so a Japanese knife system, which is designed as a weapon like this with a Japanese Tanto blade, and it's an armor piercing type of method. In there, when we change this grip, we do this. We go from this saber grip, which is held back in here, and we go bang, and then they pinch it back like this, and then just let it rotate. Okay, and then this is in that ice pick grip. So in Tanto Jutsu, it's kind of like body entry here. So Jodan or Chudan. Okay, sorry, that's Chudan. And then we come back, and it's Gyokumen into these areas here, or Jodan, into the back of the neck, or the upper part of the body. So, and then when they come back, they just rotate it back. So it's back like this, back like this. Okay, a bit more manipulation, but like all these things, this probably is a lot of excess manipulation. The trick with knife fighting in any weapon system when we're trying to meld with it is to have your hands off the weapon, as in it's at that point most vulnerable to be knocked out of your hand, or you drop it, or you become confused, disorientated, or your fight and flight system has just simply taken away your tactile coordination, which is generally the case, is to have your hands off the weapon for the minimal amount of time and to avoid changing things. What you've got is what you've got, go. Yeah? As opposed to, oh, I really want to do an overhead ice pick strike. Boom. But there might be times combatively when that's appropriate. If that happened to be your unlucky day on planet Earth and you've got to defend yourself with a knife. So there's the trick again. Just like that. The only way to master this trick is to sit there with your butter knife, wherever you happen to be, and repeat the process. Okay, so turn it in, turn it out, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Boom, and I use 3, 2, 1 because it's 3 fingers, 2 fingers, 1 hand. How's that? There's a simple little trick. See what you think. And if you've got any ideas about stuff you want to know, want to learn, let me know on the Facebook group, let me know by email, send me a message. Have a good day, practice away and see what you come up with. I'd love to see what I've done here. Just stick your phone on the table and show me your cool drills to see what happens. Love to see it, to see if that might be something that's just useful to just help you blend and meld with your weapon systems so they become part of who you are and it becomes an extension of your hands and arms. Have a good day.